What is going on? It is Alex coming back at you with another video, and today it is the beginning of our 3-round mock draft with trades. Today is going to be round 1. Tomorrow is going to be day 2, just like the NFL draft, rounds 2 and 3. If you are new, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Would love for you to join the community. We're on the way to 10K. Below my face is my board. Below that is going to be all the nice ways to get connected with the show and take advantage of our 2 sponsors. Let's get right into this. Let's have a great time. And of course, leave your thoughts down below because, again, you're the fan of one team. I'm the fan of 32. Would always love to get a little bit more of your insight because it makes better content for me and it makes even better content for you. Let's get right into this. Starting out with the number 1 overall selection. I've been going Marvin Harrison Jr. for the Bears for a very long time. And you know what? I'm getting a little fatigued of it. So we do content like this every single week. This is a live mock draft. I am going to go with a quarterback this time. I haven't gone a quarterback for the Bears in God knows how long. So, just to clarify, I rarely go a quarterback for the Bears. But you already know, you bet your ass we're going to be trading Justin Fields. So what we're going to do is, before selecting Caleb, find a trade partner for Justin Fields. And looking at the teams that could be looking for a quarterback upgrade that might be out of range, but definitely could use one. I'm looking at the Seattle Seahawks right here. That would be an intriguing team. It's a squad that a lot of people are talking about Jayden Daniels going to, who has big arm upside, really good mobility. Sounds a little familiar, just saying. But also the Falcons. I think the Falcons probably should have taken him in the first place. I love Kyle Pitts. But, to be fair, I was saying that the Jets should have gone after Justin Fields. That's another topic for another day. So I'm looking at that team as well as, you're not going to arm the Vikings, are you? That would be a stupid idea. So you're really down to a couple teams here. I'm really looking heavily into the Falcons and I'm looking at the Seahawks. Both of them are NFC. Unfortunately, I'm not seeing too many AFC teams that are within that 1-year quarterback window where I could feel trustworthy of putting them on their squad, where they're not in the position to go after a quarterback with a 5-year contract. Therefore, I am going to be trading him to the Atlanta Falcons. And for this, we are going to be actually acquiring a 2nd-round pick from them. I think that's a smart thing to do. The Bears, and we're not taking, that'd be a dream, wouldn't it? I think it might cost us this pick from Philly, like maybe a conditional pick right there, because I think Justin is worth roughly a 3rd-round selection, maybe a 3rd round this year, 3rd round next year. Who knows? Do that compensation on your own. It's not going to affect this mock draft necessarily, but the Bears are going to be trading Justin Fields away to the Atlanta Falcons. So there you go. You got a 2-for-1 pick and having the Bears go Caleb Williams number 1 overall. Now, let's discuss Caleb because it's a very loaded topic, right? I just traded away Justin. I love Justin. I'm a believer in Justin, but I also don't believe that the Bears are just there just yet. No pun intended with Justin Fields. So for me, when I look at this squad, they need a couple more years of grabbing the right talent at the right spot in order to be legitimately competitive with Justin. The problem with that is that Justin's going to cost about $40 to $50 million if he's worth keeping. And that's really expensive to pay for a quarterback that, if everything goes well, he might finish off this year very well and then go into next year and perform really well. That's 1.5 years of proven consistency. And that's the best case scenario. To pay $40 to $50 million on most likely a 4 to 5 year contract, that's tough. That's really tough for the franchise. That takes away a lot of the money from everywhere else. Or we can get that 2nd-round pick that we lost for Montez Sweat, and then we get Caleb Williams, who has similar mobility upside, similar playmaking ability, maybe a little bit of a worse arm, but you're getting a similar talent level, and I feel like you'll have a similar impact day 1, even at the level that people who don't like Caleb think that he is. I think, could you get the 5 seed with Caleb Williams? Yes. So you're saving a bunch of money. Yes, you're not getting Marvin Harrison Jr. That's a big bummer, but this is also a really good receiving class. So just think about it that way. I haven't done Caleb Williams in a long time. I think this is a smart move for the Bears if they can reacquire that 2nd-round pick that they spent on Montez Sweat. So think of it that way. But now you get the same or similar or even higher level talent level with Caleb Williams. And then you get another 5 years to be able to build the team for the Super Bowl because that's the goal, right? Win a Super Bowl. Caleb Williams can do it. I think Justin could do it, but it's a lot harder when you're paying Justin 50 and Caleb like 15 to 20. So think of it that way. There's also concerns over his overall ability as a leader. I have not seen any sort of impact on the field. His teammates, his coaches, they believe in him. Dude is not good in press conferences. We'll just call it out as it is. He is not a buttoned up gentleman that could be a CEO of a franchise and be a PR spokesperson. That bothers me a little bit. But also the people saying he wants ownership of a franchise, like that came out, that's old news, man. I mean, it's been debunked. I mean, it's concerning that it even happened, sure, but you have to value Caleb himself. You got to see what the talent is, and it hasn't affected the people around him. People actually seem to enjoy being around him. He's a weird guy. You know what? So am I. I'm not going to say that I shouldn't be taken on a roster because, I'm not the biggest social butterfly. Who cares? At the end of the day, you're there to play football, and his teammates believe in him. That's what truly matters. And Caleb Williams will be allowing the Chicago Bears to be able to do that. And the Falcons are out of range for a quarterback and could really use that boost. We're helping both franchises here. So I think it's a win-win for both teams. The Patriots, no, you don't get Caleb Williams. Okay, you got it in yesterday's mock draft, so you can check that one out. It's 2 rounds with no trades. There was one tiny trade in there. But we're going to be selecting Drake Maye out of North Carolina. Regardless, you're getting your quarterback of the future. So Drake Maye is an excellent player. Super high upside. He's definitely going to be an addition to the Patriots no matter what. So you're going to definitely see the returns on your investment in terms of that. I mean, naturally, some people want to take Marvin Harrison Jr. for the Patriots, go for a quarterback later. I can promise you right now, quarterbacks are going to be gone by 10 or 11. There ain't no trading up for a quarterback. Even if I let Drake Maye go, the number 3 pick would be Drake Maye, and then you'd see other quarterbacks go. Keep that in mind. So at pick number 3, the Cardinals somehow stay and draft Marvin Harrison Jr. Very rare that Marvin actually gets to fall, but in this case, he does. At pick number 4 for Washington, it's a tough spot to be in, but ultimately you need to address the offensive line. I'm seeing multiple teams that could be looking at offensive tackles. Actually, the next 4, even 5, technically 6, could be looking for an offensive tackle. So we got to select one now. And, Olu Fashanu has the highest upside. Joe Alt has the highest consistency. And then you could also look at the right tackles for sure. It's up to you. I think, I'm going to project into the next round. I could see a Tyler Guyton being there. I think we could be in striking range of a Kingsley Suamataia. There is that ability to be able to draft a high-end right tackle. So I feel comfortable going after the highest upside tackle here in Olu Fashanu out of Penn State. You need to build the offensive line. Brock Bowers is a beautiful weapon. And honestly, I might get him here for the Bears because of the fact I'm going to use him as a wide receiver. I also might trade out of this spot. We'll see what happens. Again, it's a live mock draft. But what this team doesn't need is more weapons right now. It needs to have an offensive line. It needs to have a defensive line because both are technically eviscerated. You look at it, it's not good. So, get Sam Howell help and be able to get a star player in Olu Fashanu. At pick number 5 for the Chicago Bears, Brock Bowers and Joe Alt are the easy choices here. The question is, with Braxton Jones being on contract for over a year from now, it's tough to just say, hey, we're going to kick him into guard when the real issue is the center. So Joe Alt is usually the place that I do like to go. Brock Bowers is a very easy selection. However, I do feel like I can move down the board and still select a caliber of talent at the wide receiver position because Darnell Mooney is up for a contract, and wide receiver 2 without Darnell, kind of up in the air. Even with Darnell, you have some question marks there for sure. I could totally go after Malik Neighbors down the line, and I think that would be a very, very good addition to continue getting that draft capital. We just got some extra draft capital for Justin. Let's continue to get more and more. Looking at the quarterbacks on the board, we got Bo Nix, Jayden Daniels, Michael Penix. Those are the 3 remaining quarterbacks. And I see 3 teams here who are going to be taking a quarterback. Maybe 4. The Giants could be a team that is in that range. I actually might make a trade with the Raiders because of the fact that the Raiders are going to be the 4th team of 3 teams that need a quarterback. They do. And so I'm actually going to make that trade here because I don't see the Jets moving out. The tackle is too valuable, and same thing with the Titans. So we are going to be making a move up with, where the hell are you? Why am I tripping? Las Vegas Raiders. There you are. We're going to be making a move up here. I don't think the Bears are going to snag that second out of them, but because I think they're going to value a future first. And the Raiders, you need to have some momentum going into the future. I don't think that we actually end up snagging the third rounder this year. Instead, what we could do is try to grab, maybe some more depth players here, maybe a good versatile center like Dylan Parham, who could be a center/guard hybrid. I don't think Marcus Peters is even on the same team anymore. But, hell, nested Jade Silvera. I'm actually going to include him in this. I really like, okay, never mind. It's going to be too much of a pain in the ass. You can add in a player if you'd like. Like maybe I do toss in, a future like 2 1s and 2 4s. Because I think 2 1s is adequate to move up 11-5. But again, you can do your own negotiating. I don't want to cripple the Raiders in this, and we already have 1 billion picks. So we are going to be moving back with the Chicago Bears, picking up a future first, kind of doing it the Eagles way. The Raiders have moved up, and they're going to select Jayden Daniels here at LSU, regardless if AP's the coach or not. If AP is, he's going to have 2 years of experience already with Jayden. If not, you still have a spark plug. A 6'4", 210 will probably run the 4.3s. Maybe at the lowest, it's going to be, or the highest, the slowest, it's going to be in the 4.4s. He's an absolute weapon. And, for me, I don't necessarily see him being consistent enough, but I do love the ball placement. Like, he doesn't get me out of my seat. But one of the areas where I'm willing to take a little bit more external suggestion is the quarterbacking area, because I am really good with quarterback mechanics. I'm still working on understanding how the system affects the quarterback. And Jayden Daniels, like looking at the pure passer that he is, does a very, very good job. So big fan of that. At pick number 6 for the Jets, they're going to be investing heavily into the offensive line. And you got Joe Alt here. You also have J.C. Latham, Talise Fuaga. I don't think you can go wrong, but I'm actually going to go Joe Alt. I'm going to go with the most consistent tackle on the board because this team needs consistency on the offensive line. I would kick Mekhi Becton to right tackle. He has that ankle sprain. I think he's going to come back in a couple weeks, but he was doing well there at left tackle. Ultimately, because of the unreliability in the past, I'm going to just take the guy who I know is going to be consistent, and I know Mekhi Becton can play right tackle as well. At pick number 7, so the Giants are sitting here, and I love the idea of Bo Nix on this team. I do. I'm seeing 2 other teams who are going to be taking Bo Nix and Michael Penix. I know I'm going to be taking them with these 2 teams. I know it. So the question is, do we want to wait and take a J.J. McCarthy? Or take Bo Nix now, or not Bo Nix, Brock Bowers now? Or do we want to take Bo Nix and grab a star wide receiver later? I know it hurts to be out of striking range for someone like Drake Maye. You got him yesterday's mock draft. If you want to wipe your tears up with something that, feels a little bit better, maybe you could do that. I am going to opt actually for Bo Nix here. I really like Bo Nix. I'm one of those guys who I believed in Bo Nix. He is tied with Drake Maye, totally different styles of quarterback. But I think Bo Nix brings the athleticism that Daniel Jones has with a lot more upside. Yeah, he's a check down machine, but he checks down because he makes the big time throws as well. But he does check down a lot because his running backs are really damn good. Same thing with Saquon Barkley. I don't think you're going to complain when Saquon does have quite a few catches. So maybe pick him up in fantasy. Who cares? This guy's going to be on a really solid contract. You actually can get out of Daniel Jones' contract next year if I understood what y'all were telling me correctly. So this is a proper value for Bo Nix. Again, the quarterbacks are going to go. The question is, do you want to have Daniel Jones, who has been relatively poor overall, especially in terms of, apart from 1 year being very lucky to get to the playoffs, he hasn't brought you anywhere. I think Bo Nix at least resets the clock. It's outside of the top 5 as well, so you're not spending a top 5 pick. And you're still getting a quality quarterback. He'll be 24 when he goes in the NFL, newly 24. But he also, especially quarterbacks lasting to 38, 40 years old, will have over 10 years of consistent production for you. I think Bo Nix is a definitely solid get. He makes mistakes here and there, but he is 7 points away from actually being undefeated this season and having a completely different narrative. At pick number 8 for the Tennessee Titans, hard to pass on Brock Bowers at this point. But this team needs offensive line. They need it ASAP. They need it like it was yesterday. And you guys have brought some amazing points, and including today. I even saw a comment talking about how the new regime's wanting a vertical passing system rather than just a super heavy run system. To me, that makes me lean J.C. Latham. Usually he's not here. So I'm going to go J.C. Latham out of Alabama. He's about 335 to 360 pounds, depending on where you get your sources from. He's a big-ass dude who's very athletic, and he's been improving week over week, year over year. That's what I like to see. I like to see the positive trend. And he's a true right tackle, so yeah, you don't get your true left tackle, but unfortunately, we don't get super blessed with a Joe Alt or Olu Fashanu. I will be more than happy to take J.C. Latham here. At pick number 9 for the New Orleans Saints, we look right into the eyes of the Buccaneers, and we smile because we're about to take the one quarterback that could make them legitimately 10 times better than us. Derek Carr is not good. Jameis Winston is not good. Michael Penix knows how to use weapons really well. So we are selecting 5 quarterbacks in the top 9. And to be fair, it's because this quarterback class sucks. Just got to call it out as it is. We got a pretty solid group at the top, like a pretty solid top 5. And it tanks. And I mean tanks until the next tier. It's really bad. So, I mean, yeah, I'm not even having Shitter come out in this based on what Daddy Sanders has said. Carson Beck should not come out at all, nor is he worth a second round pick. Then you got J.J. McCarthy, cool. Doubt that he's worth remotely a first round pick. And I doubt Quinn Ewers comes out. This class could be one of the worst of all time, but actually has a solid group at the top. So, with that being said, there's a lack of supply, there's a high demand and a lack of supply. That's a big oof. So at pick number 10, the Buccaneers are sitting here and they're saying, well, we got Brock Bowers on the board. I mean, we need a lot of stuff. Brock Bowers not really one of them. But what if he could be, kind of in a Mike Evans role? I'm looking at the teams over here. I mean, I can see the Bengals getting excited for a move up. The Chargers getting stoked for a move up. I mean, hell, who wouldn't be excited to move up and select Brock Bowers? I think the Buccaneers just want guys at this point. They're going to go Brock Bowers. He could eventually, because I grade my tight ends as wide receivers. He's my wide receiver too. He could end up being a Mike Evans replacement. I'm looking at his size, 6'4", 240. That's not too far off the measurables of Mike Evans. So, intriguing. And he's an amazing blocker. Pair him up with Cade Otton, 21 sets. That's going to be great. At pick number 11 for the Chicago Bears, this was via a trade back with the Las Vegas Raiders. So, just a quick recap for those of my audience who do have some sensory issues. The Bears selected Caleb Williams at 1, Drake Maye to the Patriots at 2, Marvin Harrison to the Cardinals at 3, Olu to the Commanders at 4, Jayden Daniels to the Raiders via trade up with Las Vegas at 5, Joe Alt to the Jets at 6, Bo Nix to the Giants at 7, J.C. Latham to the Titans at 8, Penix to the Saints at 9, and Bowers to the Buccaneers at 10. So we're back with the Bears here at pick 11. And you know what? We want to get some vertical passing up in here. Malik Neighbors might be it. But, I mean, hell, if we lose out on Marvin Harrison Jr., why not still get an ex-receiver in Keon Coleman? He complements DJ Moore to a T. He is beautiful. Can you imagine Keon Coleman on the boundary, DJ Moore, and Darnell Mooney? That would be ridiculous. With Caleb Williams, a solidified offensive line, because I think Braxton Jones can continue to get better. And then we'll get a center most likely on day 2 or 3, or day 2, like probably round 3. Sign me up for that. That is something that is investing in your future. And we have that second round pick to draft an edge rusher. Beautiful. Beautiful. You won't find many guys like Keon Coleman in this class. We might be able to steal some edge rushers in the second round. At pick number 12, tough to see some of these guys fall, but that's the way the draft works. If I am the Los Angeles Chargers, I'm looking heavily potentially at Malik Neighbors for a good deep threat, Jerzon Johnny Newton, or a corner. Now, the question is, do you want to wait till day 2 to get a day 2 quality corner? And there's some good corners on the board. I actually might roll the dice on the corner for round 2 this time. Normally, I don't. Looking at the other options available, you do not have a reliable deep threat. I think Malik Neighbors could be a great choice. But at the same time, the defensive interior is not good either. Tuli Tuipulotu is a great player. He's going to be the future at edge. And Jerzon Johnny Newton could be the future at defensive interior. I think that's the right move for this franchise. I don't see enough other options for people to trade or for teams to trade up for. Therefore, I will be going Jerzon Johnny Newton here for the Chargers to change it back up. Pick number 13 for the Cincinnati Bengals. Rome Odunze, probably going to be the most likely selection for me. Oh, there's Talise Fuaga here. Sign me up. I mean, I honestly could have probably taken him here for the Buccaneers, but we are going to be taking Talise Fuaga, right tackle at Oregon State. He is my number 7 player in the class. I absolutely adore him. He is going to be an instant upgrade in the run. It still needs to work out a couple of things in the pass protection, but I think this could be a pretty solid place for him to learn from Orlando Brown Jr. At pick number 14, this for the Bills is going to be Malik Neighbors out of LSU. Get a star wide receiver 2 for you. Talise, again, I mean, I could have probably taken him even here for the Saints if I didn't like the pick. Probably could have taken him here. Again, Brock Bowers versus Talise. It's kind of tough to pass on Brock Bowers. So Talise, probably, if you guys are that butthurt about it, we could even flip these two. Doesn't matter. So Malik Neighbors, though, going to be the pick here for the Bills at 14. At pick 15 for the Denver Broncos, Rome Odunze is on the board. Hard to pass up on an elite receiving weapon. You know, there's no more quarterbacks I like here. You could go after the top corner on the board because there's some really good corners in this class. But at the same time, I could trade back and try to get a second-round pick out of this. Because Rome Odunze is here. I say this is a really good receiving class, and it is. But there also is very limited quantities of each style of wide receiver. Unfortunately, it's not like a boundary corner where you're essentially getting, someone who's going to be elite in press, or press times like man or zone, or like, off man or zone, etc. I think that with wide receiver, there's so many variables. A team should be wanting to move up for Rome Odunze. A team should. I'm looking at the teams that could be in the market for it. I would not trade in division. You could try to get the Jacksonville Jaguars on the board to go after Rome Odunze here. I regraded Rome, and he's actually right there with A.D. Mitchell on my board, which, makes sense. I actually like both of them very much. I have them roughly as late first, early second round picks. They have their respective strengths. I'm not over the moon about Rome, but at the same time, I do know at 6'3", 211 frame, kind of makes sense. And I don't know if one will be here for the Jaguars. And I know my Jaguars fans have been trying to get me to trade up for some wide receivers, and this could be the right opportunity to do so. I think there's going to be a really good corner down here at this point. I know wide receiver is a position we should be looking to target, but we also might have that flexibility in a move up if we acquire that second round pick. So we are actually going to make this move with the Jacksonville Jaguars. For some reason, your boy's eyesight is failing him to find the Jaguars, and there we go. It is not going to just be a straight up trade, though. It will require, at least a 4th round pick as part of this compensation. 26, that's 11 spots. It won't just take a second round pick, or it will just take a second round pick, but we want to be able to recompensate the Jaguars. So be on the watch out, because we could probably still trade up with the Jags. But I wanted to get Denver that pick, and the Jags have moved up for Rome Odunze. Also, if the Broncos lose out on the wide receivers, there's still going to be corners and edge rushers. That's why I would do that. Rome Odunze, all roads lead to Rome. He should be going right here in this range, so it's good to see that he ends up here. I do think that there is a team that would most likely want to trade up for a wide receiver with an X build like Rome. At pick number 16 for the Seattle Seahawks. Hello. We are primarily going to be in the mood for a quarterback. Missed out on that. And then defensive interior. This is another spot that I could see a trade happening. And I'm looking at Kool-Aid McKinstry here, a top defensive back. And I can see two teams right here who are very excited to get a top defensive back. So who else should be in the market for a top DB? I think the Steelers could be. But the Steelers, honestly, we're going to be happy sitting right here and grabbing our own guy. I'm not seeing too many teams, maybe except the Lions. But For the Lions, we could sit there and get a top-tier edge rusher as well, but I haven't been able to snag a top-tier defensive back for the Lions in a while. This might take a second-round pick, which actually the Seahawks are kind of in the mood for. So let's see it. Let's test this out. That's what's going to be the fun part of this. The not Dallas Cowboys, the Detroit Lions are going to be making a move up here. Luckily, actually, we do have pick 85. So what we could technically do is make a little bit more of an aggressive move up at this point with pick 85 and a future pick. Honestly, the Seahawks don't need that much. I think we're going to do that because I think the Lions want to keep their pick. And we're going to select a future fourth to approximately value that range in there. You can do your own negotiating, of course, but that is the trade Seattle is going to receive because of the fact that we've ended up losing picks. And the Detroit Lions have moved up for Kool-Aid McKinstry, star corner out of Alabama. Yeah, this team needs a star corner number one. There's not many corner ones in the class. There's a lot of corners that are corners twos or should be a corner two. Kool-Aid McKinstry has been a corner one the majority of his career, deserves to get the credit as a pure corner one. At pick number 17 for the Los Angeles Rams, unbelievable value here. Cannot go wrong with the selection no matter where you go. I am going to opt for a high upside edge rusher here in Jared Verse. Latu is incredible. Chubb Robinson just declared like minutes ago for the draft. Hopefully within the time of this video, we don't see anybody else declaring to come back who are going to be first round picks, but Jared Verse most likely will be coming out. At pick number 18 for the Arizona Cardinals. So far we have already gotten a great selection in Marvin Harrison Jr. Like we've already solved a massive issue. Now I think that corner, defensive interior, that's the way we need to go. And honestly, I might want to move back and select Tavondre Sweat in the first round because I'm trying to get Tavondre to be pushed up just a little bit here. We have elite corners that are still on the board. If there are some teams within striking range, we could certainly try to get one of these top tier edge rushers because I do see a couple teams that are in range of that. So looking at a team that could be looking for a really good edge rusher, not many. There's kind of some slim pickings here. We could talk about the Cowboys, but they're not going to be desperate enough to move up for that. The Eagles, no. It looks like it might be a little slim pickings here. So we're going to actually pray that he ends up falling. And with the Cardinals at this selection, we are going to opt for a defensive back. And because this team needs it. You know, we want to get a true corner one. To me, is down to Kalen King and Terrion Arnold. Terrion is the best corner in the class. Issue, he's been a corner number 2 this whole time. But, in my opinion, he is the best corner in the class. And I think it's worth selecting at this point. I believe I did this in my mock draft yesterday, but what we need to do, yes, you guys could say trade back and get more picks. I feel very comfortable with what we can do. We could address edge rusher here as well, but I do like the development of BJ Ojolari. I'm going to go with Terrion Arnold just because I love him that much. He is my number 8 player in the class, my number 1 corner in the draft. So, I do have him above Kool-Aid, but I think a team that's looking for a pure boundary one that has pretty much nothing else working for them is going to want someone who's been more proven as a corner one. At pick number 19, the Justin Fields-led Atlanta Falcons. Yes, remember we did that trade at the beginning. They're sitting here, no quarterback needed. Looking at the wide receivers, I do like Emeka Egbuka on this team. I didn't even realize how awful the wide receiver situation is. Like your edge rusher situation, yeah. You can continue boosting that for sure. The wide receivers on this team, there's one that's left on contract. One. And Emeka Egbuka actually complements Drake London really well. So looking at that, the value is there. And it's another Ohio State receiver for Justin. We love that. So I'm actually going to go Emeka Egbuka here. I haven't tried this idea out in a while, but now you got Justin Fields and Emeka Egbuka. I think that's worth it. At pick number 20 for the Green Bay Packers, y'all know if he's on the board, I'm going after him. That's Cooper DeJean. There's just no doubt in my mind with the versatility that this guy offers that he is worth the pick. By the way, I forgot to clarify this in the beginning, and I apologize about that. Amarius Mims is going to be returning in this mock draft. Until he says he's coming out, he is returning. I will put that in the description just so y'all understand. I love Amarius Mims. If he were to be on the board, he would have been gone by 14. So I just want to clarify that because obviously that would have been a great pick here. Maybe it would have been a great pick here as well. Amarius Mims is not coming out in this mock draft. At pick number 21 for the Minnesota Vikings, it's hard to pass on Laiatu Latu at this point. There's just not much more logic into a realistic mock draft that would say that you would not select a high upside edge rusher with crazy length and crazy athleticism, especially when you have 2 edge rushers up for a contract. So I think edge rusher is the way that y'all will go, and it's the right thing to do. We unfortunately don't, you could say go JJ. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. I would just say, hey, Kirk, you want to have one last year? See what the hell happens. It's worth it. It's not worth wasting a first-round pick on a quarterback that you don't fully believe in, while you can end up getting a true cornerstone of your defense. At pick number 22 for the Indianapolis Colts, it's a tough team to draft for. I'm going to be honest. It's a tough team to draft for. I think defensive interior is not a bad idea to go. This team could be a sneaky one for Devondre Sweat. They could be. Naturally, you guys should be looking for a future at nose tackle. So I would not put that as a negative, or as I'm not going to push that aside. Put it that way. So that's a very likely option. Again, I do believe this team should continue adding defensive backs until, I get proven otherwise. I love Jalen Jones. He was my number 5 corner. He was actually my number 2 corner before running a 4-5. But, talent-wise, he was my number 2 corner in the draft last year. He's ended up working out very, very well, which is excellent. Wide receiver, A.D. Mitchell is a really good get for the Colts. Xavier Legette as well. I guess no pun intended with the word get. You could certainly look to add them to the outside. Alec Pierce just had a 100-yard game, but it's tough to say no to someone who's also a former tight end who can run. Is he 6'1" or 6'3"? He is 6'3", 227. I saw a 6'1" figure, and it really bothers me because he does kind of look 6'1". But 227 pounds, and will most likely run one of the fastest 40s. This guy picks up speed. He at least has the top speed in college. And for me, that's worth taking because of the tools. I do want to start giving him more credit. I love what he brings to the table. And, I think that this team could be one of those that really gets on board with the talent upside of Xavier Legette. At pick number 23 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Y'all see my little conundrum here, huh? I got Kalen King and Nate Wiggins. I'm going to go Kalen King. You have instant. Again, I know it's irritating my Steelers fans. I apologize for the repetition of Kalen King being here. But it makes sense both schematically because of the fact that he comes from the same school as JPJ. He played with JPJ. We need a boundary too. And he's my number 16 player and a blue chip player. Everything just makes sense. And there's a lot of solid corners in this draft. That's why he fell. Not because of the lack of talent, but because of the fact that, it's a lot of good dudes. They're still my number 4 and 5 player on the board right now. That's how good this class is. I picked number 24. The Houston Texans. I think defensive interior or edge rusher is the way to go. Now, the defense is playing well, but you also have to go BPA. So if someone was saying go tight end here, I'm like, no. No, sir. No, ma'am. So wide receiver, A.D. Mitchell could be a fun one, but again, you're not getting your best value here. Go to the free agency if you want to. Get your best players in the draft because that's going to be the guys who are on your team on a much cheaper contract for a while you fill your needs essentially with what you can pay in free agency. Looking at it, Dallas Turner, hard to pass up that instant chemistry. Braylon Trice is incredible. He's a much larger size. Or we can go after the big man in the middle. Defense interior is a position I'd love to target for the Texans. I also know there's going to be a drop-off after this first tier of edge rushers, and we will not have the pleasure at 50 of selecting one remotely in the tier of Dallas Turner. Therefore, I will be going Dallas. I want to put an honorable mention for Nate Wiggins because I think a corner 2 in the long run will be very similar in value, but you get, again, just like Kalen King, instant chemistry between him and your pretty much first-round pick for the Steelers, number 32, in last year. So you got Will Anderson, Dallas Turner, Kalen King, JPJ. That is a way to build a franchise, not just to build a team. You get instant chemistry. You know that you guys work well together. It's worth it. Nate Wiggins is still on the board. I think a team should be trying to get a little bit aggressive for a move up. He's a very good corner. This is well worth the selection at this point. The Chiefs, I think A.D. Mitchell would be a guy who I'd be very excited about, but I also am very willing to sacrifice him to move down. That sounds like so Mayan of me. To move down and, select somebody who's a little bit lower on the board and still get and let a team who's really corner hungry get Nate Wiggins. So I'm looking at a team like the Niners, but I don't want to really trade with my potential Super Bowl competitor right there. Other teams, I mean, this would have been great for the Cardinals to potentially move up and select him. There's not many teams that actually could benefit from this as well as I'm hoping for. The Titans could be in striking range, but, you could see the Dallas Cowboys being there. I don't know if a team's going to make a move up here. Is there a team that's desperate for a corner? Oh, you're not going to trade in division. I was like, Chargers, hello. We are unfortunately not going to get a bidder for this pick. As much as I hate to say it, not getting a bidder. Therefore, what we're going to have to do is go defensive interior or wide receiver. I think A.D. Mitchell works on this team very well, complements Rashee Rice to a T, and that's how you're going to continue building a franchise is by giving Patrick Mahomes the adequate weaponry to succeed. Now, Broncos, to me, I was sitting here saying, hey, I'm either going to get Nate Wiggins or A.D. Mitchell. You get Nate Wiggins. That's a pretty good consolation prize. So, best case scenario, you end up having Pat Surtain stay, and you have Nate Wiggins and Pat Surtain. Elite duo, right? If you end up losing Pat Surtain, you still have a potential corner one. To me, that is worth it. So at 26, the Broncos go Nate Wiggins. At pick number 27 for the Dallas Cowboys, I'm seeing Chop Robinson here. Y'all know how much I want to pull the trigger on Chop, but let's take a quick recap. Amarius Mims, again, is going to be returning in this simulation. It is not news. It is just a hunch because he should be a top 3 player in 2025. Looking at other positions, I mean, there's just so many centers. I've taken Grant Barton to this team multiple times. I do think I'm going to pass on it this time, especially for, a nice little breath of fresh air. I'm really heavily focusing on Chop Robinson here. Edge rusher is not an instant need, but it's a long-term need. And I don't see I guess Kingsley Suamataia, especially if you bring on Tyron Smith for maybe one more year, you could end up having, or maybe Tyron Smith stays as a advisor. This could be a really good pick. And you're taking him away from the Eagles or Cowboys. Let's just give a little one of these to the Eagles and Cowboys really quick. Kingsley Suamataia, left tackle / right tackle out of BYU, going in the first round. At pick number 28 for the Seattle Seahawks, we moved back, and we're still in striking range of a very good defensive interior class. And because I don't really believe that you're going to be able to re-sign Leonard Williams. I just don't. You could try to take J.J. McCarthy at this point and, work with him. It's not an awful idea. At this point, this is where you get that 5th-year contract. We got our extra 3rd-round pick in there. Like, it is reasonable, to say the least. Looking at it, what are the Niners going to select? What would I select for the Niners? I'd probably go Jordan Morgan for him because, again, Amarius Mims not coming out in this. I'm debating on moving up with the Eagles because I want to jump the Niners. If Jordan Morgan's most likely going to be my selection for them, other players of note, I could go corner for him. I don't really feel like there's much infringement upon the Eagles. You got Chop Robinson, Braylon Trice, and Jordan Morgan, all which I think could be very valuable options. I do think Jordan Morgan might end up being a Philadelphia Eagle. Something about it just feels right. But I'm gonna go with the Seahawks. We're gonna go JJ. We are. I think at this point, I don't think JJ is a bona fide first-round pick, but we traded back, we got extra capital, and then we still get to land a quarterback with good mobility, high upside, needs another year development, and that's exactly what Geno is there for one more year for. I do like that. That's a way to build a stronger foundation. It's better than Drew Lock for sure, and we again got an extra pick out of it. At pick number 29 for the Cowboys, I just talked about this. Let's go offensive line. And you got Jordan Morgan here. I don't know if he can play right tackle, but I do know for a fact that he will be the future at left, and he's very versatile, very consistent. So I really like Jordan Morgan there. We got Chop Robinson, Braylon Trice on the board. There's still some really good players here. Based on my board, I'm over the moon about Johnny Wilson and Christian Haynes, so I don't really factor them into my mock drafts the way I should. So dropping them out of the race, you got Braylon Trice on the board still. Who else is there on my board? We still have Denzel Burke. Love Denzel Burke. Dwight McLaughlin. Yeah, y'all probably haven't heard of Dwight McLaughlin unless you're a fan of the show. Jonah Ellis as well. So, and you also got Trey Fautanu in there. It's a good group of guys. It's a good group of guys for sure. So sitting here for the Baltimore Ravens, I do think defensive interior is not a bad idea to go. They could actually end up using some help there. Wide receiver, looking at the ones that are available, Jalen Polk could be a solid addition because of his after the catch ability. Brian Thomas Jr. could be a great deep threat. I just don't think the Ravens need to continue investing a ton of capital into wide receiver. I just don't see it. I don't understand it as well. I might want to trade out of this pick because you do have 2 elite edge rushers here, and I see the Eagles are certainly going to be one of those teams that are going to be looking for one. And there's going to be some good corners there in round number 2 for me to feel comfortable. Same thing with defensive line. So I'm actually looking at 2 teams to move up here, and that's the Cardinals and the Commanders. I'm going to move up with the Washington Commanders. They have the right range for the Ravens to still get probably a guy that they're going to be looking for. I assume this will take roughly the pick 100 range to move up 6 spots into this territory. Maybe it'll be pick 104 so we can keep the 100 for this time being. And so we'll make that trade up. The Washington Commanders also then jump the Eagles to select Braylon Trice out of Washington, my number 5 player in the class. He fits the Eagles build for the most part, and that is worth selecting. At pick number 31 for the Miami Dolphins. So I'm going to move up here with the Cardinals. That is what I'm going to do. The question is, because I think Chop Robinson needs to be taken. Unless I want to move back up the Commanders can do a double move up here. That's not out of the realm of possibility for me because we got our tackle. We can get 2 elite edge rushers before the Eagles get their edge rusher. Now that would be kind of fun. Let's go trades galore. Who cares? Let's have fun. This is a mock draft after all. We're having fun here. And yeah, maybe it's not the most realistic thing on planet Earth, but you know what? I feel bad. Honestly, I should have traded the 100 to the Ravens, and I should have traded the 104 to the Dolphins, but it's okay. It's okay. We're moving back up for Chop Robinson. I don't think this is unrealistic because both of them are very close striking range. Again, they are 6-pick move-ups, and you're taking them away from the Eagles. Washington ends up killing the draft, getting 3 potentially top 10 players in the class. Chop Robinson, Braylon Trice, and Olu Fashanu. So, yes, the trade for Baltimore was pick number 36 and 104. For 31, it was pick 37 and 100. So, they traded up twice. They ended up, they sacrificed their day 3 compensatory and day 4 early picks, but they ended up getting pretty much the foundation that they lost. And funnily enough, I think this is similar athleticism and builds to what they traded away. At pick number 32, boo-hoo, the Eagles are sitting here. People say, cry, Eagles, cry. Unfortunately, it does feel like that is the emotion that I'm getting. Amarius Mims not coming out in this mock draft. Another reason why he is not gone. He would have gone top 15. So I'm actually going to trade out here with the Eagles because I just took away all the players I wanted to go for the Eagles. I don't even see a good tackle for me to go for the Eagles at this point and develop because I do think that's a very Howie thing to do. There's just not the right option. Therefore, we're actually trading with the Cardinals. I know Cardinals fans, you're like, we need to keep all of our picks. We need to keep them. And to a degree, I do agree. But this is probably only going to take, a future 5 and, 133 because it's a much closer range. We did pick 104 in a 6 range trade. So we're going to do this for y'all. And we're going to end up moving up and selecting Tavondre Sweat because you need defensive interior help desperately. So trades galore at the end, but that's what you get for 5th-year contracts and also a lot of teams that will be wanting to move up for some very limited positions. So thank you so much for watching and supporting the show. Stay tuned for rounds 2 and 3 tomorrow. See you on the far side. Peace.